The sound of London.
Sunday lunchtimes with Gaby Roslin. BBC.
Radio London.
Let's go. No coincidence that you're here to listen.
Get on board. Come and join the double-deckers. Take a ticket for a journey on our double-decker London bus. Ring the bell, toot the horn, when you ride with the double-deckers. Fun and laughter is what we're after on our double-decker bus.
So, on the show today, we're celebrating musicals. I love musicals. Alicia Paul Moses from Tina Turner the Musical. And also, we're going to be celebrating Heathers the Musical at the Other Palace with Miracle Chance. Is that not the greatest name on the planet? And we're talking about the Smeds and the Smooths, which is at the Lyric Theatre. I love their shows, the ones that Tall Stories do, all the Julia Donaldson shows, but this year it's the Smeds and the Smooths. Also, we're going to be speaking to Jim Chapman, all about rethink, reuse and research. And Cassie Levy will be live in the studio talking about Next to Normal at the Donmar Warehouse. And she was one of the original voices on Broadway of Frozen the Musical, so she might even sing live for us, although I haven't asked her yet. Oops.
You're aboard with the double-deckers. Fun and laughter is what we're after on our double-decker bus.
La la la, everybody. How was your week? How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day. I know lots of people are complaining about the weather. We'll just have one weather mention in a minute. Let's get the bing bing. Bong bong. Okay, before we play our first track today, I hope you've had a really lovely week. I want to know what you think of coincidences. This is a really extraordinary thing that happened. So I'm going to be speaking just in a moment to Professor Richard Wiseman. Now, he just knows everything. I want to talk to him about psychic abilities. I mean, he's a psychologist. I want to talk to him about coincidences. And he is also a member of the Magic Circle. I want to talk about magic. So I'd like him to explain this to me, please. This morning, I woke up in my dream. I was singing to Harry Styles. It was all kosher and fine. I was singing to Harry Styles, telling him I love As It Was. So we started singing it together. When I woke up, I was still singing it. I then went straight to the bathroom, put the radio on, which I always do, and As It Was on the radio. Now, how can the professor explain that? I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. And of course...
You're a freak. Sweet. Freak. Come on, come on, come on, girl.
Come on, baby.
Come on, come on, come on, baby.
Come on, baby.
Come on, come on, come on, girl. Come here, baby. I can't stand it. I can't take much more. The way you dance. Oh, baby. You move your body like There's no one like you in this world. Oh no, babe, no, babe. You're so pretty, I could eat you again. Don't stop, babe. No, babe. I love you day and night. I'm with you wrong, alright. I'll keep you satisfied, cause satisfaction's guaranteed. Oh, baby, sure enough you mean that much to me. Girl, I need your love. Just give me all your love. Love you, oh, baby. Oh, right here, baby. Come on, come on, come on, yeah. Come on, come on, come on, baby. Come on, come on, come on, yeah. Right on, baby. Oh, come on. Give it. Right on. Come on. Come on, baby. Oh, I'm here to get it. I'm gonna stay with it. Come on. Come on, come on, yeah.
As it was, he was in my dream last night and we were singing that song together. I then got out of bed, walked into the bathroom. I was still singing the song and it was on the radio. I know somebody who might be able to explain that to me. We have Professor Richard Wiseman on the show right now. He has a podcast out, Richard Wiseman's On Your Mind. It's returning for season 2. It's returned 2 days ago. He joins me now. Hello, Professor.
Hello.
Now, can you please explain what happened? Why was I singing As It Was in my dream? I woke up singing it and then I went, this happens all the time. I then went and turned on the radio about 3 minutes later and it was playing. Now, you know about these things. You know about coincidence. You know, you're a psychologist. You're a magician. Why was that? What happened?
It's a curious one, and I do love mysteries. I think we all love a good coincidence. We all love a good mystery. So I think when our dreams seem to come true, what you have to remember is we have, 4 or 5 dreams per night, and there's a lot of us in the country. It's around about 65 million people. And so when something happens, it might be the law of large numbers that you got lucky. It's a bit like you winning the lottery. Well, it seems like it's amazing until you realize there's a lot of other people playing every week. So it's a bit like that with dreaming. Sometimes we have these dreams that seem to come true, as it were, or predict the future. But of course, what you're not thinking about is all of the dreams that didn't, particularly with all of the people in the country.
You sound like my husband. That's what he always says, because I believe in coincidences hugely. I mean, that moment that and it happens a lot that I sing. I love singing. So I often wake up singing a song and it's on the radio, which always freaks me out. But everybody has that thing where they say, oh, I was just about to call you, and that person calls you. You think of them and they call. How do you explain that one?
Well, of course, what you're not doing is remembering all the times you thought of somebody and somebody else called or they didn't call.
Oh, that's what my husband says as well.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to sound like your husband.
No, but it's because you're science based and I'm more sort of magic, and I know you're magic as well. So it's a weird and wonderful mix that you are, Richard.
It is. Psychology is amazing, and what we do on the podcast is really kind of give people kind of hints and tips and ideas about how to live life better. So sometimes we look at these weird and mysterious things and try and find explanations for them, and then other times we look at a more positive use of psychology to go, what can you do in your everyday life to try and change things and improve yourself?
So are you I don't want to say a skeptic, because I know you're part of all of that and I know you talk about it. But for me, isn't there a little bit of you that thinks, oh, it could be magic?
It could be. I mean, when you work as a magician, you see that wonderful moment of a sort of astonishment and amazement on people's faces. And it's a great moment. And I think we should celebrate mysteries. We shouldn't exclude them from life. And sometimes they're really important. So there was a psychologist called Carl Jung who was fascinated by dreams. And he said, regardless of the nature of them, if you find them useful, if they somehow guide your life, and that's a positive force, that's something that should be embraced. And I think I agree with that. And it's true with lots of the paranormal stuff. If you some of my work has looked at hauntings and ghosts.
I was just going to ask you about those people who really do can see things that they've never been told that they lived there or they didn't know they happened, but they see them.
Absolutely. And the question is, what's the psychology there? And it could be something which I've looked at, which is called infrasound, which are very low frequency waves that you can't hear, but they do resonate your body. They can cause you to see all sorts of strange things, and they do make candles flicker. And they're sometimes caused by traffic or faulty air conditioning and all sorts of other things. So we can look at the science of it. I don't think it detracts away from our experiences. And again, if people get some kind of comfort, understandably, from thinking that maybe a loved one is still around, or you can pass on that last message or whatever, that's very human. And we should look at that as well. So we shouldn't ever throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I'm so pleased to hear that. I remember talking to somebody about, they were in a house and they saw that they've never been to this house. They didn't know anything about this house. They saw an old woman standing at the top of the stairs, and they had a conversation with this old woman. They went downstairs, told everybody about it, and apparently everybody else went a bit cold and said, well, she lived here 50 years ago. But they described that person that they didn't know anything about. So you can't, that surely there is some sort of spiritual, psychic energy, whatever you want to call it.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because again, we're not hearing about the people that describe somebody that everyone went, oh, that person's never lived in this house. And also, we're always relying on their reports. And I know this from performing magic. There are two good things about seeing a magic trick. One is seeing something amazing. The other is telling your friends about it. Now, when you tell your friends about it, the one thing you don't want them to do is say, hold on a second, maybe there were two people in the box, or whatever the illusion was. So what you do is tell a story which is impossible for them to solve. And those stories, like all of our stories, grow and become more elaborate over time. And we always placing our faith in these stories, but actually they may not be that reliable. So you never know. Also, when people go and see a psychic or a medium, sometimes they can use all sorts of general statements like, you've got a lot of untapped creative potential. And we all love going, oh my goodness, that's true of me. And we don't realize that everybody likes to think it's true of them. So it's about trying to explore this stuff in an open-minded way, but hopefully a scientific way.
Oh, I actually could talk to you for about 200 hours. So I promise I won't do that to you, but all of this fascinates me. Also, magic. I am somebody who's always loved magic, but I've been on stage, very lucky to be a presenter for many years, and I've taken part on stage at events and things where I've had to know how a trick works. And I will never share how that trick works, but I've had to know. And yet I still can't believe it. I think because I like to believe. I like to believe in magic.
Well, I think that's great. And normally that goes for people that are very open-minded and got a wonderful imagination and do remember their dreams and so on. And magic is very special. It's something I've been involved in since I was about 8 years old. It's been my entire life. And people don't realize why magicians keep their secrets. The reason is because actually, it's like blowing up a balloon. Creating a magic trick is really hard work. And then it only requires one little pin and the whole thing is gone. And then you can never have that moment of wonder and astonishment again. So magicians hold on to their secrets for the good of the audience. So I'm glad to hear you don't tell people how things are done.
No. But also, I absolutely love magic. I believe in magic. We've, Darren Brown's been on this show and Andy Nyman's been on this show. And I talked to Andy Nyman for hours and hours about about magic, and I'll say, but what Darren did, how did he know? But don't tell me. It's that sort of thing. I love it all. I know you've been involved with Darren Brown as well. Richard
and Andy, very good. Andy and I go way back.
Love
we used to do
Andy.
fake seances together. We used to do a theatrical show where Andy would play the role of the medium and so on. So and then I'm good friends with Darren, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful work they do.
Oh, it really is, but also what you do as well. And I like the fact that you don't poo-poo it, and that you don't put people down for their beliefs. You're not saying it does not happen, now shut up.
No, I mean, it's important to explore the psychology. So if you take Lucky Charms, for example, you might say, oh, there's nothing to it. What's it matter if you carry a Lucky Charm into an exam? Well, when you look at the psychology of it, I don't think there's anything magical going on. But when people cross their fingers, touch wood, carry a Lucky Charm, they become more relaxed. And that has a big impact on their performance. So actually, taking a Lucky Charm into an exam, you do end up doing better in that exam. So looking at the psychology of it, for me, unpacking that is just as interesting as looking at the kind of more spiritual, magical side of it.
Which came first, psychology or magic for you?
Oh, magic. So I was into magic for quite a few years, for about 10 years. And then I realized that magicians are amazing psychologists. They have to figure out how audiences are thinking and feeling and behaving and use that in their tricks. And so because of that, I got interested in psychology and found out that actually magicians are better psychologists than psychologists because their stuff has to work every single night in front of a bunch of strangers, where I don't have a single experiment as a psychologist that works on everyone all of the time. So there's a huge amount of psychology and magic. And hopefully, all being well, you have to come across as likable, even though you're deceiving people. And that's a really interesting social skill.
I've never thought of it like that before. So you're just all big liars, but we all fall for you.
Yeah, we're honest deceivers. We tell you that we're deceiving you. We're doing it for your own good, for your own entertainment. But hopefully we're likable folks. So you want to be around us. And that's a really hard skill. It's the skill that most magicians really struggle with, is how to make people like you when you're not being entirely honest with them.
You're great. You make it great actors then.
Hopefully. And it's interesting with magic because exactly like you said before, you know what's actually happening. And when you first start to do magic, you feel terribly guilty because you're hiding something in your hand and then you glance down, everyone glances down, and that's the end of that trick. So you have to learn how to almost live in two realities. There's the reality of the trick and there's the reality of what you're telling people is amazing. And so you live in this very strange world when you perform magic.
Just fantastic. You've got something, a trick of the eye, I suppose, on your Instagram. When I was looking at it yesterday, where you take two shapes that suddenly it's all about perception, and I suppose that's what a lot of psychology and magic is all about: perception and how we see things, how others see things. Your podcast, it's going to be the number one because everyone will just rush to it because it's such a brilliant thing. Richard Wiseman's On Your Mind. You can, I presume, through wherever you listen to podcasts.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll find Richard Wiseman's On Your Mind. Yes.
Fantastic. What a pleasure to speak to you. As I said, I hope I haven't kept you too long because I could talk to you forever, Richard. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
No, I can't, I know I can't, I want to lead a different life. I know I can't, I know I can't, I want to lead a different life. I know I can't, I know I can't, I want to lead a different life. I know I can't, I know I can't, I want to lead a different life. Yeah! Why do they hate me? What I do to them? They always try to break me. One time I called them friends. 9 years go by, and then my leaves are dim and like, look at me. My beliefs coming to my face, I'm a different guy. Why do they hate me? What I do to them? They always try to break me. One time I called them friends. 9 years go by, and then my leaves are dim and like, look at me. And my beliefs coming to my face, I'm a different guy. What happened to Joe? The guy I used to know. What happened to Joe? The guy I used to know. courage. Hold my head higher. No, I can, I know I can. What happened to Joe? The guy I used to know. No, I can, I know I can. I want to make a difference in this world. I know I can. Want to make a difference in this world. I know I can. No, I can. I want to make a difference in this world. I know I can. Want to make a difference in this world. No, I can. I know I can. Want to make a difference in this world. I know I can. I know I can.
Here on BBC Radio London, how are you today? How fascinating was Professor Richard Wiseman? I could have spoken to him for ages, but now we're going to talk about films and television, and I could speak about that for ages too. And we've got a lovely new person who's now hopefully part of the furniture, if he can put up with me. Jack Shepherd, you from Total Film, Independent, you're a freelance journalist. We met in the cinema, didn't we?
We did at a screening of Barbie.
And we both feel the same about Barbie.
Yeah, I think we both landed on about a 3.5 out of 5 star rating, didn't we? Whereas it's a lot of fun, but it sagged a bit in the middle for the two of us.
It did. But there were certain moments that were just magical, and some of the speeches and about empowerment, and there were some lovely, lovely moments. But we were chatting about what you do, and I said, oh, please come and be one of our reviewers. So I'm delighted that you're now a piece of the furniture. We've already got, somebody's already taken a chaise longue. Somebody's already taken an armchair. What piece of furniture would you like to be on this show on a Sunday?
I mean, do you have a futon I can kind of stretch out?
You can be a
on?
futon.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Perfect. You're the futon. Okay, so your picks are, let's talk about Talk to Me, please. This is the horror film that my daughter is obsessed about seeing. It opens on Friday?
So it opened on Friday,
on
just
Friday.
gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can catch it in cinemas now, but it's from this Australian duo called Danny and Michael Phillip, who they're twin brothers, and they're best known for a YouTube channel called Raka Raka. But they've put together this really competent, really interesting kind of possession horror movie. Basically, the horror element is there's this ceramic hand that you put your hand on and you say, talk to me, and a demon appears in front of you.
Oh.
And then when you say, let me in, the demon possesses you. So it's it's quite scary, but the whole thing is really grounded by this amazing performance by Sophie Wilde, who appeared in this BBC drama called You Don't Know Me.
I love Sophie. She's great.
Brilliant. So she plays a 17-year-old girl in this who the demons get her. So her mother died before the film, and the film does a lot of character work, kind of building up her. She's quite depressed. She lives with her friends called Jade and Riley, and she uses this hand to try and connect to her mother, but this opens the doorway for demons to start haunting her. So it's quite scary. There aren't actually too many jump scares. It's more a kind of creeping horror.
Oh,
so if you're prone to nightmares, this one's the sort of one that kind of lodges its way in your brain. But it's really competently made. It's got some really great performances. I mean, another one, you've got this kid playing Riley called Joe, and it's a performance that's very like The Exorcist. It's that kind of creepy head turning, demonic. It's really, really good. I mean, this movie's been picked up in the USA by A24. The studio did The Northman and Hereditary, and it's that kind of line of, I don't like using the term heightened horror, but that's kind of what people call it, and it feels like that. It's very much, it's got like a teenage angle on it. There's references to YouTube, all this stuff, but yeah, it's really, really fun. It's I mean, maybe it should have come out around Halloween. Maybe it's not quite a summer watch, but yeah, it's great. I really love this.
Thank you very much. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I was going to sing the song then. It's so funny, the minute you say those words together, you want to sing the song.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite a mouthful, the title, but I mean, we're so used to seeing these heroes in a half shell as not quite teenagers, and that's what this movie does really well. It actually has them as teenagers. You know, you have these 4 characters who are just, they're bantering with each other, poking fun at each other like teenagers do, and it really feels different to the other incarnations. So it's an animated movie. It's very much in the vein of kind of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that kind of really colourful, jazzy style. You can see sketch marks on the screen, all sorts. It's produced by Seth Rogen, who also wrote Superbad, so it has that kind of teenage angle as well. But it's really fun. It's got an absolutely loaded voice cast. I mean, I've got some of the names here. It's got Rose Byrne, John Cena, Paul Rudd, Maya Rudolph, so many people. I mean, at the center of it is this villain called Superfly, played by Ice Cube. And I mean, Ice Cube, you know, NWA, this, you know, one of the formats of gangster rap, but having so much fun in this performance as this villain, it's really great. I mean, go see it just for him, because it's really, really fun. Yeah, okay. One for the kids.
Perfect for the summer holidays and the weather that we're having here at the moment.
Yes.
Memento is on BBC Two at 11 p.m. tonight. Obviously Chris Nolan as well, very of the moment. Well, he always is, but with Oppenheimer out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pick. I mean, it's an oldie, but you know, with Oppenheimer currently in cinemas, I mean, if you've seen that film, then go back and revisit Memento. It's on BBC Two. It's also on Netflix, but it's like a written down on paper. The plot's really simple. I mean, it's a man who wants to have revenge for the murder of his wife. But the thing is, with a Nolan film, it's never straightforward. This movie is told backwards. So the first scene is technically the last scene, and you work out the murder mystery as it goes. You try and work out why he's killing certain people, why he's doing certain things, why he's being manipulated by people, because he can't remember the day before. So he's it's not an amnesiac, because he remembers everything up to the point where his wife was murdered, but he doesn't remember anything after that. So he's piecing things together. He's tattooing stuff on himself. It's Guy Pearce.
Film.
It's amazing. I love this movie. And with Oppenheimer in cinemas, you could see echoes of Nolan's work throughout both of them, with the playing with time, with the obsessed male main character, all these things. It's if you loved Oppenheimer, go see this, and if you love this, go see Oppenheimer. So
great. Okay, double whammy there. And there's more in a moment from Jack. 3 more great choices, including Good Omens, which we watched yesterday.
What would I give for just a few moments? What would I give just to have you near? Tell me you will try to slip away somehow. Oh, I need you, darling. I want to see you right now. Can you slip away? Slip away. Slip away. Yeah. Oh, I need you so. Love, oh love, how sweet it is when you're still in. Let me tell you something now, how sweet it is. Now I know it's wrong, the things I ask you to do, but please believe me, darling, I don't mean to hurt you. But could you just slip away without him knowing you're gone? Then we could meet somewhere where we're both are not known. And just can you slip away? Slip away. Slip away, yeah. I need you so. Oh, can you slip away, baby? Like to see you right now, darling. Can you slip away now, baby?
That's what you're listening to, BBC Radio London, with me, Gaby Roslin, and Jack Shepherd. Not Jack Shepherd, the actor, but Jack Shepherd, the film and television reviewer, who I met at Barbie. I said, come and be on the show. And he was waiting for his fiancée, Sophie. Sophie was meant to come into the screening of Barbie. I've never seen queues like it. She didn't make it into our cinema, but she made it into another cinema. So you and your fiancé were in different cinemas watching the same film at the same time.
Yeah, exactly that. So we managed to leave. She was texting me at the beginning because I was saving her a space.
Yes.
And the movie was starting. I was like, oh my God, are you coming in? Are you coming in? She was like, I'm in. Where are you? And I was like, oh
That's
God,
so
we're in
funny.
different screens.
It's very romantic. Very romantic. Okay, so let's talk about World on Fire. Of course, we talked about it last week. BBC One, 9 p.m, and it's on iPlayer as well.
Yeah, I mean, the series, it's the hot series on BBC One at the moment. It's really great. All 6 episodes are on BBC iPlayer at the moment, but it's a World War II drama. It follows a character called Harry Chase, who's a British translator. He married a Polish woman and brought her back to England, but they are very much at odds with the English lifestyle. I mean, what makes this a really unique World War II drama is that it isn't just this story. I mean, there's this home drama with the backdrop of the Blitz in Manchester, but there's also the story of North Africa, what's going on there in Egypt with the Indian soldiers and the British soldiers having to work together. There's also a storyline in Nazi Germany itself where this young 16-year-old girl is being forced to marry SS soldiers and continue the Aryan line. I mean, it's a big drama. There's lots going on. I do find it slightly soapy in places, but I think it's well worth a watch. It kind of has a new spin on the World War II drama that I think is interesting. And yeah, no wonder it's been recommended twice then.
Yeah, no, it really has been. And then Good Omens, which we watched, it's season 2 has dropped. It's on Amazon Prime. And it's actually all available now. We watched the first episode of season 2. I hadn't watched the first season, but my daughters have. They love it. And I really enjoyed it. I wasn't quite sure what was going on, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, the first season is great and well worth catching. I mean, the first season is also, it's based on the book. So that was written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, whereas the second season goes off book. So this is a new story that hasn't been told before. And Neil Gaiman's continued it with his collaborator, John Finnemore. And to catch everyone up, the first season follows David Tennant's Demon and Michael Sheen's Angel trying to stop the Armageddon from happening. And the second season picks up with them kind of saving the day-ish, but things are still going wrong. There's an Archangel Gabriel played by John Hamm who's having so much fun in the role as well, and his memory's completely gone, and heaven and hell are both looking for him, and Michael Sheen and David Tennant are trying to hide him. I mean, the real stars of the show are Sheen and Tennant. Their chemistry is fantastic. It's so watchable. I mean, they're also having so much fun in so many different costumes. They go back 5,000 years in time. It's it's a really whimsical, fun show that, you know,
it's camp.
It's
as
so
well.
imaginative.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
And then we end on the after party. Tell me about this, because I wasn't sure whether to go in and watch it. It's Apple TV Plus. It's season 2. Do we go back to season 1? What should we do?
So you don't have to go back to season 1. There are only 3 characters who continue over. So the after party it's a murder mystery. The 3 characters there's Tiffany Haddish's Detective Dana, who's an investigator. She's and every episode follows her interviewing people trying to find out who the murderer is. So the first season is about the murder of a famous singer, fictional singer, and the after parties after their school reunion, and she's trying to work out who murdered him. The second season's at a wedding. It's after the wedding and the groom's died, and she interviews all these people trying to work out who did the murder. But each episode is a different mini film, so it's all in different styles. So for each person who's being interviewed, the mini film depends on what that character's like. So there's a Wes Anderson-y type episode, there's a John Woo actioner, there's a rom-com episode. Everyone's so different, and you try and piece together who you think did the murder along with Detective Dana. There's a lot of chatter online with people trying to work out what's going on. There's a lot of misdirection. I think we're 4 episodes in now, and it's really not clear who did it. I mean, the cast is amazing. You've got Jack Whitehall, Ken Jeong, and Tiffany Haddish. I mean, they're all doing really fantastic work in this, all having an absolute blast kind of playing around in these different genres. And you see them do so many different versions of themselves, because you see the Wes Anderson, Jack Whitehall, and it's just like, okay, didn't expect that. Quite funny to watch him being awkward and shy and all these things. Yeah, you could definitely jump in at season 2.
Okay,
yeah.
and is it kid friendly, or is this adults?
It's more adult. There are some more adulty jokes. Yeah, I would say
themes.
more. Yeah,
Okay.
more adulty.
As it's the summer holidays, we obviously
Yes.
suddenly don't want people to leap in that if they've got a 10-year-old at home that's saying, "Oh, I heard all about that." Jack Shepherd, welcome to being our futon on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you, and I'll see you back here in another couple of weeks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Jim Chapman on the way, YouTuber Jim Chapman, talking all about a brand new campaign he's doing with Cancer Research UK.
Those were good times we had.
Patrice Rushen and Forget Me Nots. Good afternoon to you. Sunday the 30th of July. You're listening to BBC Radio London. Now, delighted to welcome my next guest to the show. Jim Chapman, YouTube. I don't want to just call you a YouTuber. There's so much more to you than that, Jim.
Thanks very much, because I kind of, it is something that I've struggled to shirk the responsibility of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're more. You're I'm going to call you a creator. You're a writer. You're an all-round good guy, and you have You have lovely sisters, but you have one in particular who I adore, Nicola, who's been on this show,
Right.
and I adore her. So please, will you send Nicola Chapman my love?
I will. I quite like her.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them both as well, and I've got a twin brother as well. I like them all, but I will let Nick know that you are her favourite.
Yeah. I'm her favourite. Oh, okay, if you want. I don't think I meant it like that, but yes. But all your family are very lovely, and obviously
Thank you.
when you guys all started out doing what you do, it was new, it was exciting. It still is exciting. I think it's YouTube is a place that many people go to now, and it's put so much out there, and I think what you started doing, and you did it so well, so congratulations on all of that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, accidentally well. I think a lot of people assume that we were sort of like entrepreneurs and paving the way. It was actually as much good timing as anything else. We weren't doing it intentionally; it just so happened. And then we were like, "Oh my God, this is a thing!" So then we've
Is it really?
caught onto it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We had no idea. We're talking at the beginning of social media. Like, we just did it because it was a way to be creative and kill a bit of time. We had no intention, not even intention. We just had no idea, no knowledge that it could become what it did. So we were very fortunate. Because I think about it now, if I were to start now as a brand new talent, brand new creative, it's so saturated, it's so difficult to shine through. And so it was as much excellent timing as it was anything else.
But you weren't putting out rubbish. You were actually, you could see that you're creative, but there was also a fun and a kindness and a...
Yeah, the internet was back. I mean, it still is now, but a very kind, very fun. It was all about exploration and adventure back then. And I'm actually really, I know it sounds silly because it feels like yesterday, but I'm kind of nostalgic for those days because the internet was a really, really lovely, welcoming place back then.
How do you feel about it now?
I mean, it still is wonderful. My audience, I'm very fortunate that I don't get loads of the negativity that others do because I kind of predate that in a way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my audience still look at me with a sense of sort of the boy next door or one of the old school originals, and as a result I kind of get away with a lot of the just positivity, and I don't get so much negativity sent my way. But I do know from watching a whole industry appear around me and my sisters and a few others, it's more difficult now. It's harder. You have to have the thickest skin in the world, and it's not for everybody, and it's also really hard work. I think a lot of people assume it's very easy. Now, don't get me wrong, I have the best job in the world, but it is hard work. You do have to work really hard in order to make it into a career.
Of course you do, and you can tell actually when I watch you guys that you can absolutely tell. So what would your when somebody says to me, "Oh, how do you describe what you do?" I'm a TV presenter and a broadcaster.
Right.
How would you describe yourself to somebody, a stranger at a party?
It's tough. I mean, what I used to say is I make videos on the internet, but of course that sounds like a terrible thing, and it can lead to many other conversations. So what I typically say is I'm a writer and presenter, because although I have my own platform on social media, on Instagram and on YouTube, I also host and present things elsewhere too. Yeah. And I write a lot of various things in various other locations, and it kind of covers all manner of sins by saying that's very generic. And then if anybody cares enough to inquire further, then we can go into greater detail. But it kind of is an overarching title that will do for now.
Why not just say you're a entertainer? There we go.
Could do, yeah.
It's a wonderful old-fashioned term that people used to use in the 70s and the 80s,
right.
And then actually in the 90s as well. They say entertainer, and
right.
It sort of got a bad. It sort of turned a bit sort of ooh, but now
I feel
again,
like it's almost like saying I'm a comedian, and people want you to be really funny all the time. So I think if you say you're an entertainer, they're going to want to be entertained. And I'm actually quite dull most of the time.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Let's talk about rethink, reuse, research. Something I this is fantastic campaign by the wonderful Cancer Research UK. I just have to say I've worked with them in the past, so I just have to put it out there. And they are an amazing charity, and they put a lot of money into research, as their name suggests. So tell everybody a bit more about Rethink, Reuse, Research, please.
It's a very simple concept. Essentially, we need your pre-loved items. The way Cancer Research UK make a lot of their money is by you guys purchasing things from their stores, right? And we all have things knocking around the house that we no longer wear, no longer fit us, or they're out of style, they're not your cup of tea anymore. Rather than just have them linger in the house or go to waste, give them to one of the stores, and there are stores everywhere. There's like over 550 in the UK, and there's even like 30 huge sort of mega warehouses. So that you can take your stuff there. People then purchase it. That money then goes to saving lives. It's very, very simple.
See, I'm all for this. I did it recently. We emptied out my daughter's wardrobe. A pair of the trousers I kept to do shopping in your wardrobe, which I'm wearing today. But a lot we took 4 bagfuls to Cancer Research UK and another charity shop as well. I feel like I like to divide them up. But it's just wonderful to know that money is then going towards the charity. But also, we all need to do this more. We all need to not be buying fast fashion. We need to be
100%.
buying from charity shops because of the pollution and the environment.
Totally. And actually, the act of having a clear out, for me, is so cathartic. It's like really therapeutic to go, oh, that's been in my wardrobe for 4 years. I've never worn it. Out it goes. And you end up with, what I've discovered as I'm getting a little bit older is that I need less stuff.
Yes.
It ends up just sort of weighing you down and cluttering. And if it doesn't bring you joy, or it's not something you're getting a use out of, someone else will find a home for it. So why not do good? Clear some head space as well as clear some wardrobe space, and also people, by doing so, people will be donating money to an excellent cause.
So have you ever given away anything to a charity shop, Cancer Research charity shop, that you think, oh, I'm not sure about? And have you ever given away anything that you thought, oh, I'm so pleased I got rid of? One of each.
I'm quite fortunate doing what I do for a living, particularly because I kind of work in fashion. I get clothes sent to me all the time. So I am only too keen to get rid of things, actually, because otherwise it just, and I've got unfortunately my daughter's nursery is also the room where we just kind of keep stuff, where it's like
nice for your
one
daughter.
in, one out.
Yeah,
I know, bless her. She's too young to know right now, so she hasn't got a clue. But we just sort of have a pile, and something comes in and something else has to go out, and we kind of keep it in circulation. Things that there's one shirt that I still look for to this day. Now, I can't remember if I've lost it or I donated it, but I remember thinking recently, oh, I wish I could find that shirt, and it is lost to me. So I'm not sure whether it was one of my something I'd passed on, or something that has just sort of gone missing.
Or
but there are things like
maybe your baby has, although she's very tiny, maybe she's taken it.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you know what? She might have. She's not even 2 yet, and in fact, we've got another one who is due 3 days ago. So,
congratulations! Yes, of course.
If I suddenly go off air, I'm at the hospital.
We know exactly what's happening. What a pleasure to speak to you, Jim. And as I said, please send your lovely sisters,
Thank you.
but especially Nick, my love.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing. For more information, Cancer Research UK, how to support the charity, go to cancerresearchuk.org, or you can call 0300 123 1022. Jim, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It's a fantastic campaign, and good luck with the baby.
just to gain this life's reward. Streets of gold. Can you imagine somewhere where life will never end? No,
Love that song. Heaven. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking food. Do Yourself a Flavour. What a great title for a cookbook by Fliss Freeborn. Also, we're going to be talking about the Smeds and the Smooths. Oh, what a book. Julia Donaldson's book, brought to life on stage here in London at the Lyric Theatre. And CC Coleman will be talking about First Dates, the podcast. But right now, here's Julian with the latest news.
The sound of London.
Sunday lunchtimes with Gaby Roslin. BBC.
Radio London.
How many of you, when you hear this song, actually take part in the cartoon in your head? Do you remember that video? It's absolutely brilliant. We're going to be talking about what you can do with frozen peas, including becoming the leader of an army of ducks. Oh yes, it will make sense very soon.